Warum wir für erstklassige Qualität gerne ein paar Extrarunden drehen? Warum jeder unserer Rollstühle ein Unikat ist? Warum wir dafür kämpfen, innovative Ideen auf die Straße zu bringen? Warum für uns technische und körperliche Barrieren keine Grenzen sind? Warum der perfekte E-Rollstuhl nicht das Ende, sondern der Anfang unserer Arbeit ist? Das alles machen wir aus einem guten Grund. Aus Überzeugung. Para. Mobilität für dein Leben.
That's what I was doing. Flower? I feel like I could be here. Yeah. Excuse me. If I am here, is that in the way? Yeah, you're right.
Good morning and welcome to the first FIS live broadcast for the 2026 World Cup season. Thank you for joining us. We're in Feldberg in Germany today on the Ahornbüren slope. The weather is crisp morning, fine weather, and the slope is looking pretty good here in Feldberg. It's a steep, tricky hill that the racers will be competing on this morning. You can see the details there. Start height 140 metres, finishing at just under 1,000 metres. They have in fact raised the start from last year. You can see Anja Skutlej, the race director, FIS race director, just out of shot there. Final preparations going for the race, which will be which will be kicking off this morning at 10 o'clock. We have the first of two men and women slalom races today, 2 runs with an aggregated time to count down this steep and hopefully very competitive slope. The skiing here in Feldberg is brilliant. It's in the beautiful Black Mountain region of Germany. Not massive mountains compared to some of the ones on the circuit, but fantastic skiing nonetheless, and a venue that is used fairly frequently by a number of teams on the Para Alpine circuit for training. This is the second season that the World Cup circuit has visited Feldberg, the first being this time last year, 2025. And we can see the start list for run 1 just appearing on your screens now. We have 6, starting with the women's visually impaired competition. We have 6 competitors with their guides. Going into the final race prep there at the top, and you can see the forerunner who will go down the run first to test it for safety. Another view from the top there. Athletes all going into their final preparations. It's a nerve-wracking time this for everybody. That is our first runner, Elena Stari from Austria. Elena has been on good form this season. She's podium contender for this race, having had some good results in the past.
Hallo, vernetzt, oder? Ja. Schön, dass ihr da seid. Herzlich willkommen und natürlich auch die ersten vom Fanclub Annalena Forster Fanclub.
That looks like Anna Maria Ryder, German athlete, local athlete. She's had some good results from the standing category this season. A tricky race at the first slalom race in St. Moritz, DNF'd on the second run. So we are moments away from the first start. First runner going down this Feldberg slope. Elena Stari in the gates. She's guided today by Stefan Winter. She is 20 years old and in the AS2 class. And away they go. A strong start, aggressive start. Little mistake there, little overshoot on the fourth gate. But really, Stefan doing a great job of setting the line. Round the delay, and at the first marker, we've got it. She's obviously got the green light going in first, but that's a good time. The snow looks to be holding up well. It's very firm. The Feldberg team have done an amazing job at prepping this snow over the past few weeks. There was nothing about 3 weeks ago, and they really have done an incredible job. Tiny mistake coming around on that gate, but really a solid run, and I think we'll see when the next runners come through. Yeah, that's great. 49 seconds, 68. Great run. Next in the gate, we've got a newcomer this season, Margaret Gustafsson from the USA, AS4 classification, with her guide Spencer Gustafsson. And they're at a tricky start, but they're back into it. Margaret's got back into it. Stefan waiting for it. She's a little off the pace, as you'd expect after that big mistake, but she's doing it, putting in some solid turns. Now, good pressure, getting a little thrown about already in this run. There's a very big gap between her and her guide at this point, and yeah, he's just realised and has closed it up. AS4 is the category with the least, the classification with the least impairment of the four. So Margaret Gustafsson going into second place there with her guide Stefan. Third in the gate this morning we have Veronica Eigner, guided by her sister Elizabeth in the AS3 class. She was the race winner in all 3 races from Feldberg last season, so high expectations. Getting a little thrown around as well at the top. As I said earlier, this is a tricky slope, very steep, so these women will be having to work very hard to stay on the line and hold an edge in these tricky snow conditions. So 0.35 at the first split, and the gap opening between her and Elena Stari to 1.47 seconds. Still in touch, still not far off the pace, but certainly you can see not as clean a run as her Austrian teammate. And into third position. With the factored time, she has gone into third position. Fourth in the gate, we've got Sarah Choi from Korea, guided by Unmi Io. And then we can see an aerial shot of the race. Sarah Choi putting in a solid run. Yeah, some good turns there. A little far from the gate, so probably, as we're seeing from the first split, not really contending for the top spot at this point. But could be at there. We see the second split, 5.79. It's a little off the pace there, and we'll expect her to go into third or fourth, I would imagine.
Und das letzte Tor geschafft, jawohl.
Im Ziel. Die Starterinnen aus Korea.
너무 늦었다.
Ready?
Next in the gate, we've got Georgia Gnu and Ethan Jackson from Australia. AS2 class as well. Development athletes from Australia. As you can see, going over the roll, a little tentative, but they've got good flow coming through these gates and onto the steeper midsection. 4 seconds off the pace at the first split. And then just going a little wide around those gates, but still some nice rhythm and flow to this. Great work from the developing team here. As they come onto the final pitch, the second split puts them at just over 10 seconds off first position. So unlikely to be a podium spot at this point, but as this is slalom, there are 2 runs and it is all to play for in the second run. Great effort by the Australian team.
So, und jetzt Daumen drücken.
Final runner is Maya Fugenshu, guided by Johanna Lena Holzmann from Germany, AS3 classification. They are new to the World Cup circuit this season, second competitors that we've had racing this morning, and they competed in St. Moritz earlier this year and they were 4th. Great turns, getting a little wide around the hairpin, vertical hairpin there. 3.56 seconds off the pace. And yet just a little tricky, losing the contact with the snow on the outside ski there. Just scrubbing off a little bit of time. But this is great work between Maya and Johanna. Really staying in contact with each other. Johanna checking the position of Maya and just doing a great job at controlling that speed, keeping them well connected, which makes a huge difference for the VI athlete. 15 seconds off the pace, off the Lena Starry's first run, putting the team in 5th position. That concludes the visually impaired women's competition. Now we move on to the standing women's competition. Nine athletes. Just have a brief pause in the racing while the race preparation team just check the course, make sure it's ready for the competitors to start. Today's course setter is German coach Justus Wolf. There are 51 gates in the course, 49 turning, which means 2 delay gates. And here we go, recap. 3rd place. The Aigners in 2nd place. Good run, but not quite good enough to knock Elena Stari and Stefan Winter off the top spot after this first run. We've got a start list up on your screens now for the standing women's competition. Florence Carrier of Canada kicks off the proceedings. There she is, ready, focused. You can hear the snow. It's very hard, a mixture of manufactured snow and likely treatment. To keep the quality of the snow as good as possible as all these races come down it. Nice rhythm. Carrier is in the LW4 class. So single leg amputation below the knee. She skis with 2 skis and 2 poles. As you can see, no variation.
Bravo!
1 minute 2 seconds for her first run. Good, solid first run. Next up, we have Vera Voronchikina, a neutral athlete. Oh, and a little mistake, a big mistake there. Nearly came out of the course, but she managed to get back in. This is the first race that the Russian athletes who were racing as neutrals have been allowed back after a recent decision by the APC to restore membership rights in September. And this race is actually the last race in which many athletes can qualify for the Paralympic Winter Games in Milan Cortina, being held in March. So we're likely to see some good racing just because the stakes are quite high, people wanting to put in those good runs and try and get their final competition slots. Next up, we have Anna Maria Ryder from Germany, 26-year-old in the LW91 classification. She had a tricky first race in St. Moritz, DNF'd in the second run, but looks to be putting in, getting a little, overshooting the roller, coming onto the steep pitch in the midsection. And has lost a bit of momentum after that mistake, but getting back into it, trying to find her flow. She'll be trying to reset and just make up for that mistake through that section. Through the second time gun, she is 1 second 07 off the pace. Good solid run. Definitely you can see just how hard these athletes are having to work on the steep pitch at the end. That was a great final section, closing the gap to 0.82. Next in the gate we have Audrey Crowley from USA in the LW6 8-2 class. This is her first time racing at Feldberg. The aerial shot from that angle doesn't make the final pitch look too steep, but I can assure you it is, and definitely feels like it when you're coming to the end of a long slalom run. 51 gates isn't the longest race we'll see on the circuit this year. Slalom is often between 55 and 60 gates. This is one of the shorter ones, but the athletes will definitely be feeling it in their legs after all those turns, and particularly on this aggressive man-made snow. Hard to tell what she was thinking after that one. And there we have Andrea Rothfuss, long-time racer, very experienced racer. She's been doing this for many years. She was 4th in St. Moritz. Lovely flow from Andrea. A little mistake there, kicking her out, so she was a bit further away than she would have liked from that gate, but getting right back into it. Yeah, working those edges on the steep and just staying in touch with those gates. 0.83 off the pace. But as I said before, all to play for in the second run, so 0.83 is a relatively small margin in para-alpine ski racing. Yeah, again, just getting kicked out on those left footed turns. That puts her into 3rd position. Provisionally, good run. Seems pretty pleased with that. Next up, we have another Canadian athlete, second Canadian athlete, Michaela Gosselin. She was 5th in St. Moritz, behind Andrea. Let's see what she can do down this short but demanding course. Yeah, took that gate over the roll nicely. Looks a little less aggressive than Andrea. Yeah, and that's showing in the times. A bit further off the pace. 1.2 off first. Nice flow, but just missing the aggression that would potentially give her a bit of an edge. Increasing that gap, that deficit, 0.253. And over the line into 4th position, 3.3 behind the leader.
Bravo, Michaela.
Next up, from Spain, we have Maria Martin Granizo Ferrero, LW2 class. LW2 is a single leg amputation above the knee, and as you can see on your screen, Maria skis on one ski with 2 outriggers to provide balance and control as she's making those turns. Not for the faint-hearted. This is the gates come close in to the athlete's shoulder, right past their ear, quite frequently onto their helmets. Takes a bit of getting used to. Great run into sixth position. Just shy of 6 seconds off the pace. Looks like a tricky run there. Next up, Ali Johnson from USA. LW 681 classification. Single arm amputation above the elbow, skiing with 2 skis and only 1 pole. So the first time split gives 2 seconds 45 off the place. This is some good skiing by Ali. She was 11th in St. Moritz, so developing athlete. Getting a little thrown about at the bottom of the turns here. You can just see, slowing it down a bit. Let's see, she's held on to that and not extended her lead, her deficit by too much, 6.99 seconds. And our final athlete in the women's standing competition, Lucia Smatisko from Croatia, LW682 class, which is single arm amputation below the elbow. Some nice flow through that flatter end of the top section. Oh, big mistake there, just losing some momentum. Scrubbing off a lot of speed through the end of the turn. Let's see what the clock says when she gets to this, through this midsection. And 3.3 seconds off the pace. Actually, not as much as I thought. And sometimes the aggressive skiing presents mistakes, which makes it look like they're going slowly, but actually, great run into 5th position from starting 9th. Is a solid run, and hopefully she is happy with that. That concludes the women's standing. As you can see, we've got Anna-Marie Ryder in 1st position, Vava Voronchikina in 2nd, and Andrea Rothfuss in 3rd. Next up, we have the final run in this first half of the competition from the women's sitting athletes. 4 athletes this morning, representing 3 different nations, 2 from Finland, Spain and Germany. Nete Kiviranta will be out first from Finland in the LW11 class. Sit skiing has 3 classifications, LW 10, 11 and 12. And these athletes have a physical impairment of the lower limbs or trunk and compete sitting. LW 11 is the middle severity. And Netta is out the gate, representing Finland. She didn't compete here last year and opened her season in St. Moritz with a 4th place result. The sitting athletes have different techniques for knocking the gates out of the way. This is one of them, lifting up the outriggers to push them out. Some athletes take them through the shoulder. In fact, Netta appears to be doing a mixture of both. It can be quite a tricky discipline for sit skiers, for some sit skiers, particularly the LW12, because of the rapid turns. Netta is doing a great job of getting around all of these very tightly packed gates. And corrected time, 59 seconds at 62. 64. I'm sorry. Next up from Spain, we have Audrey Pascual Seco with the distinctive pink protective plate on her sit ski. Some aggressive push out the start. Looks like she means business this morning. Getting a little wide around the first turns. Straight back into it. And really you can see when she gets it right, that lovely kick the ski gives. Just accelerating her through the turn. One second, 1.3 ahead of the first split, 3.75 at the second split. So increasing her lead as this steep course goes on. Doing a really good job of attacking those turns. Even you can just hear her crying out, getting spat out a little bit, and there she is over the line. A massive 6.84 seconds ahead. Not happy, shaking her head, not happy. There are some mistakes. Will it be enough to hold off the slalom queen on this run, Annalena Forster, a veteran of the course? She won all 3 slaloms here last year and has had multiple Paralympic World Championship medals to her name, Crystal Globes. So let's see what she can do. 0.63, so a little ahead at the first split through the onto the steeper section. It's really good angles. Annalena is fantastic at really laying that ski over on its side and getting the angles in to aggressively carve out of it. 0.79 through the second split. Now Audrey Pascual Seco had a very fast bottom section, so let's see what Annalena can do. Yep, and she's increased the gap. 1.5 puts her onto the top spot. She seems happy with that. Good run from Annalena. Good first run from Annalena Forster. And our final competitor out the gate for this women's competition, Mayu Larila. Second athlete from Finland in the LW12-1 category. A relative newcomer to the fields. Again, looking a little tentative on those first turns, but as we've said already this morning, it's a very steep and quite tricky hill to race on, so some of these development athletes may not have really experienced courses like this before, particularly if this is their first World Cup race, and I know there are a few on the circuit in the race today for whom this is their first time racing World Cup. .48 off the pace at the second interval. Making sure she gets around all the gates, gets across the finish line, gets a second run. You have to be in it to win it in this game. There is a second run coming up a little later on, 12:45. Final positions after the first run, or provisional positions I should say, Annalena Forster, Audrey Pascual-Seco and Mette Kiviranta from Finland. And now we move to the men's competition. First up, the visually impaired athletes. Good vibes from the crowd there. There we have leader Johannes Eigner. First up, Michael Schnagel, and guided by Lily Sammer from Austria, AS2 class. They opened their season in St. Moritz, but had a tricky start with a DNF in the first run, so they'll be looking to improve on that. Oh, just getting thrown around. Michael just getting thrown around a little bit on the left-footed turns. Lily as well getting thrown around and through that transition, but both holding it together and managing to put in a respectable run. Let's see what the clock says. We're not seeing the interval times on this, so let's have a look at the final one. 50 seconds 48 into first position provisionally as the first runners. They seem reasonably happy. Yep, they seem happy. A bit of a fist bump, smiles all around. Good to see. Next up, we have Johannes Eigner, guided by Nico Habel, also from Austria and also in the AS2 class. You can see Johannes has the leader bib on. He won the race in St. Moritz and will be looking to repeat that performance. Great skiing by this pair, really aggressive, really getting it into the turns. Oh, little mistake from Johannes, getting a bit behind. His ski's getting ahead of him. He's back on top of them and keeping a nice rhythm through the second half of the course. .76 at the second split. Let's see what he does on this steep pitch. Looking nice, yep. 2 seconds ahead into first position. And a shake of the head, not happy with some of those little mistakes as he was coming down, perhaps, but nonetheless into first place. Next up, we have Michael Golas, guided by Kasper Walas of Poland, AS3, so slightly more vision, different vision, and a very respectable first split. 0.5 of a second, 0.05 of a second ahead of the leader of the Johannes Aigner. Just losing a bit of time through that middle section. Still very much in touch. 0.53 behind, and all to play for in the second run. You can see Kasper just having to slow down a little bit to keep Michael in touch, and into second position for Michael. Next up in the men's visually impaired competition, we have Mingyu Huang and Yoonhyung Kim from Korea in the AS3 class. They were 4th in Samaritz. You can just see, you can just hear Kim shouting instructions. Some athletes, some guide athlete pairs don't necessarily need the comm systems. I put myself included in that. And you can hear guides from the bottom of the slope sometimes. This is a good solid run from the Korean pair. Little off the pace, 4.69 seconds. Good communication and good distance between the two, so plenty of positives. Little bit, looks like Huang was a bit, was feeling it at the last few turns there, but yeah, fist bump, reasonably happy by the looks of it. And finally, in this men's visually impaired competition, we have German athlete Alexander Rowan, guided by Jeremiah Wilke. You can see the guides wear different colours depending on what the athlete preference is. Alexander is an AS4 classification, so with the deemed to have the most visual ability, and therefore the factor applied to his time will be the smallest, so he will have to ski faster relative to the other competitors in the AS 1 to 3 classes. As you can see, this looks like potentially a faster run over the ground than some of the earlier competitors, but with factored time, that puts him in 5th position, 7 seconds off the pace. A good run. You can just see how tired these athletes are after that hill. Johannes Aigner in 1st, Michael Golas in 2nd, and Michael Schnagel in 3rd.
Starter sind dabei.
Next up, we have the men's standing competition. "20 athletes in this competition, and should be an exciting leg for these athletes, many of whom are hopefuls for the Paralympic Winter Games in March. First out the gate, we have Robin Kusch from Switzerland, LW91. He raced in St. Moritz, coming in 3rd position, so we'll have high hopes for this race. 13 seconds on the clock for the first split. Little bit off the line there. Yeah, some mistakes coming in on this steep pitch, but holding it together. Let's see what the clock says when he gets to the second split into the verticales nicely, and 32 seconds. Onto the final steep pitch, and you can see just how tricky the steep is for these athletes. That's it, Robin over the line, 50 seconds 21, shakes his head. I think he knows that might not be enough to hold on to the top spot when the other competitors, but nonetheless a solid run from the Swiss athlete. Aaron Lindstrom up next from Sweden, LW682 class, 5th in St. Moritz. Let's see what he can do. He's aggressive out the start, 0.08 behind Kusch's time. And as I mentioned before, the factoring system means that these athletes, although they might look faster over the ground, they're not necessarily faster in factored time. However, second split, Lindstrom has put in a great run through that second section and increased, got into the top spot, 0.5, and comes in 1.56 ahead of Kusch into first position. Fantastic. Next up, Thomas Groscher from Austria, LW2 classification. Didn't manage to finish in St. Moritz, so we'll be looking to get some points from this run. We might see him backing off, but actually it doesn't look like it. Oh, a little mistake there, a little over the top of the front of the ski. He's held it together and got back into the flow of the course nicely. The snow condition is holding up pretty well here after nearly 30 athletes have run down it, which is great news for these later runners. A little off the pace, 1.56 at the second split. Let's see what he can do through the final section. Into third position, 2.98 behind the leader, Aaron Lindstrom of Sweden. So local athlete Christoph Glutzner from Germany in the shot now, and in the gate we have Jordan Poisin from France. The French team, the majority of the French team are not here. They're focusing on training for the French races coming up next week and into the first week of February. Jordan is here likely chasing qualification points. A good top section, putting in 0.13 off the top spot. Losing a little bit of time through that second section, but still very much in touch, only 0.7 off the pace. And you can just see fatigue setting in here as he's starting to be thrown around through those turns. Not quite as composed, but into third position. Great run from Jourdain. Seems happy. He's always smiling. Next up, we have Adam Hall, who's representing New Zealand, the only New Zealand athlete on the circuit this season. Adam is a veteran of this tour. Good solid first section. 0.12 off the first position. This is his 126th World Cup start and his second time competing in Germany. One second off the pace at the second split. And into second place. Good run by, a good first run by Adam Hall. Really worked those skis. You can see he skis on two skis bound together. Next up, Christoph Glötzner, sixth athlete out the gate, LW2 class. Single leg amputation above the knee, one ski with two outriggers. Christoph was sixth in St. Moritz. Let's see how he gets on now. .53 off the pace at the first split. Skiing a nice tight line to the gates, really using the single ski to his advantage and holding it nice and tight. That could just be slowing him down a little bit through that midsection. As you can see, he's lost, the gap has opened up a little bit. Where is it? Into sixth position, 3.12 off the pace. Just see Annalena Forster in shot there. Now back up to the start, we have Alexei Bugayev representing Russia, LW682. And aggressive start. Two big mistakes out of those first gates. This is likely to be his first World Cup race for a little while. And as you can see, the aggressive style, whilst it might look wild, it can also be fast. 0.27 ahead at the first split. Losing a little bit of that advantage. And coming in into the top spot, 0.65, a strong run from Bugayev. A little bit wild. He's followed by his teammate, Alexander Aliabayev, also LW682. Started the run a little more under control. Oh, but got spat out, and that will be a DNF for Alexander Alabayev before the first split. We'll have a brief pause in proceedings while the next competitor gets set, and that will be David Bendotti from Italy, LW2. David Bendotti, out the gate, great start, aggressive through those opening turns, really controlling the ski nicely, and good flow. 1.26 off the pace. Just getting a little bit out of control through this second part of the course. Losing a bit of speed, scrubbing a bit of speed through the bottom of the turn as he tries to hang on that steep section. As you'd imagine, not easy on one leg, but David doing a brilliant job. 3.23 off the pace, coming in. Oh, just hold on. And he's missed 3 gates from the end. Missed a gate, and that unfortunately will be the end of David's race for today. He will not get a second run start. Next up, we have Koi Takahashi from Japan, LW9-2. He had a DNF in St. Moritz, so another one looking to get some points on the scoreboard from this race. 2.78 at the first split, a provisional. This looks to be a solid, safe run from the Japanese athlete, making sure he gets around every gate and avoiding that DNF. His first competition in St. Moritz. 7.79 off the pace. Working those skis and trying to get around them as quickly as possible. You can see little tuck at the end there, to squeeze out every last millisecond into 12th.
Ready? Go!
Next up from Andorra, we have Roger Puig-Davy in the LW9-2 class. You can just start to see a few little lumps and bumps appearing, but not many. The snow surface is really holding up very well for these athletes. Little mistake there from Roger, but managing to catch it and get back into the line nicely. 2.99 off the pace, coming into this final steep pitch, safely out of the hairpin and into the final turns, and going into 8th position after the first run. That is not a happy coach. Can't win them all. But he's got a second run and in with a chance to improve. Next up, we have Jessie Keefe from USA, LW4 class. Good opening turns from Jesse. A little bit ragged through that hairpin, but holding on. And yeah, as we can see, slightly wild coming over the roller into the steep pitch. Good time though, 0.95 off first position. Jesse finished 8th in St. Moritz and will no doubt be looking to improve on that position. 1.83 at the second split, which provisionally, which puts him in 7th at that point. Again, a little wild, but he holds on to it and gets it into 6th place. Brilliant work by the young American. This is a tough course, even though it's slightly shorter than we might expect for a World Cup race. It's very, very steep, and the snow is aggressive, so the athletes are coming out, getting to the end, having given it their all. Next up, we have Johan Gendemange from France, LW9-1 classification. Around the delay gate safely and bringing him onto the roll and the second steep pitch, 0.96 off the pace. And this looks to be a solid, fairly safe run from the Frenchman. .41. At the second split, and see just throwing his ski sideways to control it, which will result in scrubbing off quite a bit of speed, but gets him safely around the gates. Everything is a balance, and yep, he's in the second run.
Ready, go.
Next up, we have Patrick Halgren from the USA, LW2. So far this season, he's had a 14th in St. Moritz in slalom. Nice turns, holding the line high. Quick through the verticale. 5.38 off the pace, putting him provisionally in 12th at the second split. .8 into 11th. Happy with that, it would seem. Our next competitor is Manuel Rachbauer from Austria in the LW9-1 class. Another DNF from St. Moritz, and he's down at the 4th gate. Unfortunately, that will be another DNF for the young Austrian. He'll be disappointed with that. He'll ski to the side then and wait there and for the next competitor to go down before skiing off to the bottom to rejoin his team. We'll have a slight delay. Oh, no, we don't have a slight delay. I'm sorry. We're straight into the next competitor, Spencer Wood from USA. Safely through the top section. Spencer looks to be attacking that top section nicely. You can see from the aerial view quite an offset course, hard work, and the athletes who are attacking it are having to be really quick off their edges to drive the skis and get the acceleration out the turns. Very tricky, and particularly for the developing athletes, those a bit further down the field. This is a tough hill to ski, and a tough hill to ski fast. Strong result there from Spencer Wood, 8.09, putting him into 11th position, and earning him a spot in the second run. Next up, Emmerich Sierro from Switzerland, 20 years old, LW92 classification. He earned a 12th position in St. Moritz. Let's see if he can improve on that today. Safely around the delay gate, over the roll and into the steep second pitch. Just hanging on to those turns through the bottom section and losing a bit of speed, but still holding the line nicely. And that's a pretty good time. 1.1 off the pace of the first split, 2.75. Lost a little bit through that second section, but holding on nicely. And this is where you can see the fatigue setting in for some of these athletes through this second half. Oh, holding on, nearly clipped a ski, but managed to just hook it round in time. Into 10th position, 4.92. French coaches in shot now. And next out the gate, we have Tyler McKenzie from USA, LW681. Another DNF in St. Moritz. There's a high attrition rate from that race. All looking to get points on the board. As I said, this is the final slalom classification race, qualification race before the Paralympic Games. .12 at the second split. Just a few mistakes creeping in, and you can see, yeah, the fatigue in the legs. Say it again, but it's just, you get to that, the bottom half, and particularly for some of these developing athletes, they are not used to the length and the steepness of these World Cup courses. And it just starts to bring in a few mistakes to those final turns. Into 14th place for Mackenzie Tyler, 10 seconds behind the leader after the first run. Next up, another competitor from USA, Andrew Harangue, following his teammate down. In the LW1 class. So same class as Adam Hall, we saw earlier from New Zealand. And that is double leg amputation above the knee or moderate to severe cerebral palsy or equivalent impairment. So skiing with 2 skis and 2 outriggers. Good angles there from the aerial shot. Really nice through this midsection. You can see the flow of the skis nicely from that aerial shot. Lost a bit of time through that middle bit of the course. 8.39 behind the leader. On to the final pitch now. Getting a little bumped around in some of those ruts that are starting to form, but hanging on through those final 2 gates and into 15th position, 12.22 behind the leader. One more competitor for this standing competition. We have Yamato Aoki from Japan, LW3. Putting in a safe few turns to get him started. Nice and solidly through the hairpin and the delay, bringing him over the roll onto the steep second pitch. Not taking any chances, needs to get some points on the board and wants to get down this run safely to get into the second run. .09 behind the leader. In he comes to the final few turns now. Solid skiing, safe skiing to make sure he gets down that run. And sometimes the ski racing is very tactical and you've got to do what it takes to get down that run. And he's in with the points. He's in with the chance to compete in the second run. First position for Alexei Bourguiev, Aaron Lindstrom in second, and Adam Hall from New Zealand in third. Relatively tight competition in the top 5. A few DNFs, 3 DNFs in this men's standing slalom competition. Next up, we have the men's sitting competition. It's a relatively small field. There's quite a few of the top flight athletes missing from this competition. We'd normally see 20 competitors or more, but the Dutch team are missing, prioritising training and later competitions and a few other big hitters. However, we do have first out the gate Jesper Pedersen from Norway, overall globe winner last season and very experienced slalom skier. You see him attacking this course. Just holding on slightly wild through some of those turns, but holding on to them and getting back in the line. As I mentioned, he adopts the technique of hitting the gates out of the way with the outrigger for most of the turns. It can be really tough for the men's sit skiers coming down after 50 or more competitors have already run. There's quite a few ruts. You can just see Jesper's being bounced around a bit, but he gets down in a very respectable time of 50 seconds 66 into first position provisionally. Next out the gate we have Lou Bradagon from France, LW 10-2. Finished 7th in the St. Moritz competition. And this is a great start from the French athlete. 0.49 ahead after the first split, coming in nicely through the vertical gates there, and has increased his lead through the midsection to 1.29 ahead of Pedersen. Little mistake there, just coming across the hill, scrubbing off some time. Let's see what that does to his final result. He's increased his lead into first position, 1.94 ahead of Pedersen. Great run by the French athlete. Team France should be pleased with that. And up next we have another Norwegian athlete, Magnus Vallo-Balchen, LW 12-1, 6th position in Samarets. .27 behind after the first split, just getting bounced through those ruts on the steep section, having to work really hard to hold on to that line and scrubbing off some speed. I think we might see a bit of a gap opening at this second split. Yeah, 2.32 off the pace. Oh, and he's down with only a few more gates to go. He'll be disappointed with that. Stopped by the safety nets, will just looks to be okay. Relatively slow speed crash, but the disappointment will be there nonetheless. Particularly when you're so close to the finish. He'll ski around the side so as not to break the finish line, and unfortunately for Balchen that will be a DNF. Next up in the gate we have Victor Pierrel from France, LW11 class. Another athlete who did not finish in Samarets. Let's see how he gets on here on this tricky and steep slope here in Feldberg. Oh, a little bit of airtime coming over the roll, catching it well and into the gate, just getting hooked up on that left turn there. .58 behind the leader at the second split, carrying good speed over the flats. Sometimes that can be tricky. You've just got to find a balance between carrying speed off the flats and controlling it into the steep section, and he managed it well, a little erratically, but has gone into third place, 2.3 off the leader after his first run. Josh Hanlon is next up from Australia, LW 12-2. Nice turns through the opening gates and safely through that delay. Just getting a little bounce around coming over the roll onto the steep. Yeah, you can see that the ruts are just forming there. I should perhaps say well established, as we're quite far through the competition, but you can see just how much these athletes are being bounced around, how hard they're having to work to fight to stay in the line. Josh is 2.46 behind the leader after the second split. Coming into this final pitch. Can he hold it through these final turns to get some points or get a second run? Yes, he can, into fourth. 2 more competitors to go in this first half of the men's sitting competition. From USA, next up, we have Ravi Drugan, LW12 2. He was also in St. like many of his competitors, and finished 11th. Safely through that combo of a hairpin and delay gate. You can see having to work really hard to just get across the hill in quite tough conditions. Finding his flow through the vertically and onto the final pitch. 10.52 off the pace. Nicely through those first gates of this final steep section and into the last few gates, over the line into 5th position, 15.4 behind the leader after the first run. And now we come to our final competitor of the men's sitting slalom first run, and the final competitor of the first run, all the first runs, Leon Gensert, another German athlete, 12th in St. Moritz. He is an LW 12-1 class. 22 years old. As I said earlier, this hill is often used as training ground, and the German athletes particularly will know this hill pretty well. So familiar territory for the majority of them. And just getting caught up in a rut. Can he hold on to it through the verticale? So tricky for the sit-ski athletes to get back in the line, but he's done a great job getting back into the course and carrying on with his run. Not a competitive time, but he will get a shot at the second run. A little bit wild through these turns, having to really work hard to cut back across the course and make all the gates, but he gets in and into 6th position, into the second run. So the German coach is there. So that concludes the men's sitting competition for run 1. Lou Bradagon from France, Jesper Peterson in 2nd, and Victor Perel in 3rd, going into the second run. Thanks for tuning in to the first run. We'll be back at 12:45 for the second run. See you there.
natürlich sollte der Zeitplan nicht zu viel sein. Das heißt, for the second run, 11:40 for the vision impaired and 11:50.